Hello, Calvin here, Simi Sigma, and welcome back to another one of these vlog type of videos. In this video, we're going to be answering some of your guys' questions in a Q&A style video. So I think this is going to be a lot of fun. There was a lot of really cool questions, everything from favorite color to where I went to university, some questions around career advice and whatnot. And so I think this is going to be a really fun video. So let's go ahead and jump into the Q&A. Okay, so the first question, Amna, I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly, Amna asks, I'm interested to know what got you into engineering and if you had any tips for university students to stay motivated and get along through their journey. So what got me into engineering? So I've always considered myself a creator, not necessarily an engineer. I think becoming an engineer was kind of the byproduct of being a creator. So when I was little, I used to do a lot of hobbies and activities that involved very kind of creative style thinking work and whatnot. And so I played games like Roller Coaster Tycoon. I used to build skate parks in Tony Hawk. I used to build Hot Wheels racetracks out in the backyard with like spare wood, and it was just a lot of fun. So I really enjoyed building and creating things. And so reflecting back on all that, I think what I really truly enjoyed was just thinking about the logistics of a problem and then coming up with some sort of technical solution to solve that problem. I thought the creative process in that was a lot of fun, but when I was trying to get into college and pick a major and everything, I actually did not know what I really wanted to do. And it got to a point where I started looking at majors like a few weeks before I had to start writing college applications. So I really didn't have too much of an idea of what I really wanted to do when I was in high school. I did like math and physics and some of the more technical subjects, and so that kind of led me into the engineering field. But I kept putting off the decision of actually deciding what I wanted to major in. So I remember when I was doing my applications, I opened up a university's course catalog, and all I did was I started reading through the course descriptions, and whatever courses really piqued my interest, things that involve building and creating things, I kind of jotted those down on the list. And eventually I found out that, yeah, some sort of like engineering would probably be the best route. So I decided to get into that field because of that reason and just all of the stuff that, I used to do as a kid. And it's been a very interesting and really rewarding journey since then. Okay, so part 2 of that question was if I had any tips for uni students to stay motivated in their journey. So what I will say is that engineering is difficult. It is tough, but that does not mean that it isn't for you. So engineering being difficult is like rain being wet when you go outside in rain. It's just, that's what it is. But don't think that it isn't for you because it's challenging. In fact, I would say that because you stepped up to the challenge of studying engineering and doing engineering, you should be, one, very proud because a lot of people don't want something super challenging. And so if you're really interested in this type of a work, pursue it because you are interested. Just know that it'll be tough, but know that you are a very capable problem-solving individual that will do very well in this field if you are interested in it. Okay, so I do want to make a little note on the word motivation. I kind of don't like the word motivation because motivation is very temporary. It's very short. Motivation only happens in short little segments. What I would say is more important than motivation is discipline. So being disciplined enough to take your studies seriously, to be able to plan out your work. And I would say what's even more important than discipline is consistency. So when you're studying and taking courses, it's a lot of work, and it's going to be tough, and you're going to not get topics right away. So don't get discouraged by that fact. I would say if you can set up a study schedule in where you are consistent in studying particular topics for particular courses, that is going to do you so much better than just trying to learn everything all at once. It can get overwhelming, but stay consistent in your studying, stay consistent in your problem solving, and I think you'll do very well. So, okay, that's enough of the kind of philosophy behind that question or that answer. Let's get to some of the more tangible tips. So first, all things are temporary. So even the courses that you're taking right now, they are temporary. And this is something that really helped me get through my grad program because my grad program was significantly more challenging than my undergrad program. And sometimes I would get very, very overwhelmed by all the courses and just like the level of difficulty in grad school. And so that really helped me when I was taking my courses. We were on a quarter schedule, so that kind of made it a little bit better. You didn't have to stay in a particular course for like 15, 16 weeks. You could be done with it in 10 weeks. But even in the midst of all the challenges, all the coursework and everything, what I really liked doing, what really helped me get through all that was always remembering that in just a few weeks, it'll be all over. So that really kind of gave me a lot of like courage to just keep going, keep studying, keep trying to do my best. And that's all you can really do, right, in life when you're trying to, learn something or take a course, trying to get through school. You can only do things one thing at a time. So just focus on that one brick that you're putting down on your grand wall that you're building throughout life. Always remain very, very focused on trying to make sure that brick is very, very good. Another tip I have is that as you are going through courses, share what you've learned, share the knowledge that you've gained, and it's just this strange way to be very, very motivated in learning like the next thing. So whether that is tutoring somebody for a class that you've taken, writing a blog about a certain topic that you studied and found very interesting, whether that's making tutorial videos like I do on Simi Sigma, any way that you can share what you're learning with the public, with the community, with other students, other engineers, it's a strange way to be very motivated to learn the next thing. And it really helps solidify some of the material and the foundational stuff that you've learned in your schooling career. And it's just very empowering. And I think it'll get you to learn and be more curious about future subjects and whatnot. And then finally, I would say explore your other curiosities, especially in university. Don't do engineering 7 days a week, 24 hours a day. If you can spare even just a couple hours a week or even just half an hour a week doing something different, doing something that allows you to explore your other interests, your other passions, your other curiosities, it's a very, very good way to kind of reset the mind and then be able to have you jump back into engineering coursework, and all of a sudden you're kind of approaching things with a new perspective. It allows your brain to reset. If you're constantly doing engineering all the time, you're going to get burnt out, and you're not going to be able to kind of stretch your mind and develop some of those wider problem-solving skills that you need to be an engineer. Okay, so on to the next question. Inky Noodles 01, I like that name. Inky Noodles asks, for the Q&A, have you ever gone to another country? And if you have, one, what was the most memorable thing that you had or you did? And two, what was your favorite souvenir that you got from here? So yes, I have been to another country. I've been to a couple, but when I was in high school, one of my biggest dreams was to go to Japan. I was so obsessed with Japan, and in fact, I still am. And it was just one of those, I don't know, it was just such a big dream of mine. And after grad school, I got the chance to go to Japan for 10 days with an amazing group of friends. And it was just such a dream come true. I get so excited just talking about this. So yes, I've been to Japan. We went to Tokyo. We took the bullet train from Tokyo into Nagoya, out to Kyoto, Osaka, and we've traveled like other places within Japan. It was so much fun. It was a dream come true. Okay, so the most memorable thing we did so much. We saw so much. We did so much. We ate so much. We shopped quite a bit. But I would say the most memorable thing was this hike that we did in this little town called Nakatsugawa. And that is located in central Japan. It's in the Gifu prefecture. And I remember going to Nagoya, and we had to take a bus and then a mountain train, and then another bus to get into this little village that was like up in the mountains, up in the hills, like deep in the forest. And it was just the most surreal, beautiful thing. We were hiking all day, and it was this very cloudy and misty day. So as you were walking in this forest, it was just very like ominous, very misty, very just... It was just incredible. That was just a lot of fun. And you would see these little towns and houses as you're hiking through the trail. It was just It was so much fun. Okay, so for part 2, my favorite souvenir. So I didn't really buy anything for myself. I tended to spend most of my money on souvenirs for other people, my friends, my family, my cousins. And I think the most memorable souvenir that I brought back was for my sister. It was kind of this bag, and I hope I can find the picture, but it was this bag, this little like sash bag, or like this book bag that you could, wrap around your shoulder. And it had this drawing of Mount Fuji, and I got that in Tokyo. And it was a really interesting, very aesthetic, very nice looking bag. And so I gave that to my sister. She still uses it. And yeah, that was probably the most like memorable souvenir, or like my favorite souvenir that I brought back. Aside from, of course, all the memories and all the food memories. That was quite fun. Okay, so on to the next question. Angel asks, where did you go to uni? What did you specifically major in? What is your favorite color? And what is your thought process when it comes to leaning towards a certain career? Do you already have that figured out? And is it okay to let time tell your path? Okay, so that's quite a few questions. So let's just start at the top. Where did I go to university? So I did my bachelor's in civil engineering at Cal Poly Pomona. Broncos, go Broncos. That's a university down in Southern California. And then I did my master's in structural engineering at UC San Diego. So go Tritons. Okay, color. Favorite color. So I'm more of a very like black and white kind of guy. Like I really like the black and white aesthetic. I think it looks very clean, just very minimal. However, I will say that a very light purple, or like a lavender purple, is just it's really nice. Okay, so the next question, a little bit deeper. What is your thought process when it comes to leaning towards a certain career? So my biggest thought process is experiment and explore as much as you can throughout university, throughout your career, throughout your life. Just constantly explore your interests and be flexible enough to make moves when you feel like you should be doing something else, or if you're really enjoying what you're doing, go full on into what you're doing. And I will say that what is written on your degree paper when you graduate is not at all your identity. Do not think that what's written on your degree paper is exactly what you'll do for the rest of your life. That is complete bullshit. You can literally do whatever you want in life. So just continue to do what you feel is most purposeful and most fulfilling in your life. Pursue those interests, and I think you will eventually allow time to kind of set that path for you. But what I will say is, don't allow time all the control. You need to make certain decisions in your life for the universe, for the world, to set those path pieces for you. We need to take action on the things that really interest us. If we're not liking doing something in particular, we should be spending some of our time trying to adjust that path. You just need to give life a little seed for it to plant, and it will handle growing that plant for you. Okay, so do I have my career path already figured out? Absolutely not. No, I really don't. I'm just kind of doing what interests me the most, and pursuing the work that I feel is most purposeful and very important to me. So I'm still trying to figure it out. I'm still exploring. I'm still learning. I've been done with school for a few years now, but I still love learning, still love being very curious about my interests. And that's played a very, very big role in kind of helping me determine my career. Now, to answer your question a little bit more specifically about my thought process in kind of leaning towards a particular career, one, I would say make sure you balance your interests and the value that your work brings to the world. So you can't strictly just do something that brings value without being interested in it, right? You need to be interested in some part of your work, if not all of it, hopefully, to be able to contribute something to the world and have a very meaningful and fulfilling career. Okay, so how do you find that meaningful career? Well, you already know what it is. And when I say you, I'm referring to the child like you. So the child that you were years ago when you were a little kid, exploring the world, discovering the world, that person already knows what you're really, really interested in. So I spend a lot of time reflecting, a lot of time journaling. every single week, almost sometimes even every single day. And I do a lot of reflection around what I really was interested in as a kid, as a little child, as a little mini Calvin. And I constantly reflect on what made me very curious about the things that I pursued. So all of my interest as a kid, the books that I read, the movies that I've watched, the things that I tried to pursue, those all have meaning. So I think a lot of times when people kind of grow up and they start becoming more adult-like, they tend to kind of give up their childlike curiosity and their imagination for responsibility, not knowing that responsibility and curiosity can live in tandem and should live in tandem. So as you're growing up, don't let go of your childlike curiosity, don't let go of your imagination. Allow those things, that inner child, to kind of guide you on your career path. And just know that your career is not just one job or doing this one thing. You could be doing so many things. You're not just gonna grow up and choose something and just do that for 40, 50, 60 years and then that's it. Your career path is always going to change. And that kind of brings me to point number 3, be very flexible in your career path. Don't think that you have to just choose one thing and then just do that forever. Be very flexible. A lot of people, when they grow up, for whatever reason, they think they have to do this one thing and then that's it. And I understand that, you need to pay bills and you need to make a living and whatnot, but spend your free time. If you're not fully fulfilled in what you're doing, spend your free time on the weekends, on the evenings, explore things, explore the things you did as a child, explore your interests. People's interests change quite a bit as they, get older and experience more things in life, and allow that to happen. Allow your brain and your mind and your heart and your soul to be intrigued with different things. And then number 4, I would say value people and experience over salary. Over strictly salary, I should say. I've learned a lot. I've gone through a few jobs myself, and every single time I learned way more from people and the experience than I did from the paycheck. You'll get the paycheck. The money and the monetary value will come. But especially when you're young, especially when you're kind of like interning or just about to graduate university, or you're freshly, you've been in the field for a couple years now, like you're very young in your field, value people and experiences. Learn as much as you can from really good people, smart people, friendly people, supportive people. Learn from that and allow that to kind of shape your foundation as you explore other career steps in your life. And so my career path right now actually might surprise some of you. So, I did my bachelor's and then I got my EIT, my engineer in training license, and I was going to go get my professional engineers, but then I did I had to do my master's and obviously get work experience. But after my EIT, I got my master's degree. I did that in structural engineering, and then I worked as a structural engineer for about a year. And then I went through a career change. I took some time off and I completely shifted careers away from structural engineering into software engineering. And I am planning to make a video about that sometime soon. It was a pretty big shift in my life, and at the time it was extremely scary. And it was very emotional, very overwhelming. But now I'm actually doing software. And that's the thing with life. There is so much that I'm interested in, and there's a lot of things that I still want to pursue, still want to learn about, still want to grow. And I spend a lot of time working on that, especially on the weekends, on the evenings. I'm constantly looking for new things to learn and to explore, and even some of my older interests. I'm constantly trying to revitalize that. And I'm just always looking to grow personally, professionally. I think it's been very monumental in kind of how I perceive the world and how I go about making decisions in my career, in my interests, in my hobbies. Even on this channel, a lot of the stuff that I've been interested in as a kid has kind of helped me shape the direction of this project. And I know that my career path is going to change just because I'm a very curious person. So I would recommend that, as Jim Rohn once said, become a student of your own life. Constantly learn, constantly grow. A lot of people give up learning after school. In fact, a lot of people give up learning before they even start school. I think the learning really starts for a person when they start pursuing the things that they're really interested in, and then devoting time to those those things, to grow in those particular areas, and to really pursue the things that they want to pursue. So I would finish off by saying, let the world be your playground. Allow the world to give you really unique experiences. Allow those experiences to shape your memory, your abilities, your skills, your interests, your hobby. Let the world be your playground. Go out and explore. I don't care how busy you are. I don't care how much studying you have to do for finals. You can always make time to explore even just one other thing that you're curious about. So be playful as you grow up. Don't let go of that childlike curiosity. Always be discovering, always grow, always learn. And I think when you're flexible in that path, you are going to have a very fulfilling, not just career, but fulfilling life. Okay, so last question. Ashleen asks for study tips. How do you study efficiently? Also, tell them about your journey from figuring out your major to landing a job. What obstacles did you face, and what tips do you have for college students trying to figure out what they want to do? So, I am actually not going to answer all of these questions right now. In fact, I want to answer some of these questions in more dedicated videos. But I will just very briefly talk about study tips. So, I do have a few study tips, things that I've done when I was in college and school that has really helped me. Number one, take colored notes. Use different colored ink for your notes. I think it's a really good way to be able to differentiate different topics and definitions and concepts and examples, and it really forces your brain to kind of organize and separate out different topics, and it allows it to be we're very visual. Humans are very visual creatures, so the more you can kind of allow your brain to really see things in different lights, your brain likes colors. It doesn't like looking at sheets and sheets of just black ink on your paper. It's very hard to decipher that, and it's very hard to kind of go back to those notes when you're trying to study or cram for finals. Secondly, I would say get a whiteboard or a chalkboard, or find a place in your library or your college campus and solve problems on a whiteboard. It helps so much. So what I used to do was on the evenings and on the weekends, I would go to my university and I would find empty classrooms that had chalkboard or whiteboards, and I would solve problems out on those boards. And there was just something about it that allowed me to kind of perceive certain problems in a different light. So it's being able to solve problems on a whiteboard or a chalkboard is very different from solving problems just on pen and paper. And then finally, I would say solve as many problems as you can. So solve problems beyond what your homework is asking you to do. And the more problems you solve, the more it allows your mind to kind of really strengthen that problem solving skill, because now you're looking at different problems in kind of different lights and different perspectives, and you start gaining certain problem solving skills every time you do a different problem. And so the most important thing about this is that you're allowing yourself to be very diverse in your problem solving skills. So when you're given homework for statics or fluids or whatever course that you're taking, open up the textbook, go find a whiteboard, and try to solve just as many problems as you can, whatever time allows you to. Okay, so that is the Q&A. I hope you guys had fun. I hope you guys learned a little bit more about me. I hope some of these tips have helped you and will continue to help you. And yeah, that's about it. So I'm sure we'll do more of these in the future, but until then, I will see you guys in the next video. So see ya.